the first learning clearly is it's not about processing, it's about what processing does to the product. So first and foremost, we're talking about healthful, affordable nutrition. First requirement is use processing to solve for healthfulness. Focus on natural, organic ingredients, deliver sugars that are good for people who are diabetic or for people who are afraid of it. And by the way, there are a lot of people who are afraid of it because their parents have diabetes, because they have heard about diabetes everywhere in the news media and so on and so forth. So this is, in essence, the requirement that frees you to process. The second requirement, sustainability. Before you jump to conclusions, let me explain what that is. It's not what you think it is. First of all, consumer wants packaging-related sustainability solutions. So the consumer is literally saying, give me biodegradable packaging. That's the first shorthand. The second shorthand, I think this is really phenomenal, is waste. And for the first time, we're finding consumers discussing waste, not just in terms of not wasting food at home, but in terms of reducing waste in the manufacturing and processing of food itself. And then the third one is animal protein. Animal protein has one drawback, which plant protein doesn't, which is the flexibility. And animal protein producers have to figure out how to solve for some of those challenges. At the moment, animal protein is getting negative pressure in the context of sustainability. But what I will say is, and my researcher deliberately worded it as negative pressure for a reason. The consumer isn't saying this is done. The consumer is saying, well, isn't plant protein more sustainable? That's really what the consumer is asking. So again, the consumer is asking that question. This is an important, yes, you're on the back foot if you're in the animal protein business, but it doesn't mean the game's over. So what's the second requirement? Sustainable packaging is a key opportunity. So are claims and initiatives that reduce food waste at the front end of the manufacturing processing process itself. Those are the quick wins here to create affordable, nutritionally dense foods. The third piece, and I thought this one's really fascinating, is about sustained energy. And we can actually see the trajectory of this demand space. It's kind of come out of nowhere, especially since January, and I think this has a lot to do with how people emotionally feel, right? It's about anxiety. People don't want to feel what the consumer describes as a sugar spike and the come down that they experience after. People want to manage their insulin response. They want to eat foods that don't sort of bump them up and then bump them back down again. And in particular, they're looking to avoid refined carbs and sugars. And again, they're looking at organic grains like quinoa and other opportunities to achieve this. It's the right combination of ingredients that help them. And again, well crossing that threshold, relevant to a lot of consumers, almost 80 million consumers. Really interesting, fascinating opportunity, all linking to this concept of foods that give me sustained energy rather than spiking me up and down. And this is all about this notion of sustained energy and ingredients that minimize spikes. And then the last piece, which I kind of alluded to at the start of this session, which is what are the underlying requirements? When we talk about nutrition density, what is it that the consumer is really looking for in this overall culture of, nutritionally dense, affordable food? Well, here's what they're talking about. On the macro side, let's talk about the easy stuff. On the macro side, it's fiber, it's protein, it's complex carbs. Fine. Nothing that exciting, nothing that new. Let's talk about the protein side. The interesting thing, again, is both plant and animal. Animal is on the back foot, but eggs are talked about a lot. And eggs are highly, highly relevant in this context. I would say even more so than other forms of animal protein. There's some interesting opportunities here, but again, while animal protein may feel a bit on the back foot, the game's not over. The game is afoot. The opportunity is massive in this area, and the overall opportunity of affordable, nutritionally dense food is growing by a good 12%. Again, it has now stabilized. There's growth in the short term. It's going to be relevant to 91 million Americans. This is an important opportunity. And then on the micronutrient side, here are the specific things people are discussing. Beta carotene, not technically a micronutrient, but I've included it nonetheless because it's talked about a lot, pretty trendy. But B12, A, C, D, E. And yes, if you are thinking about people's worry about immunity, yes, all of that does connect to immune health for sure. But these are some of the specific requirements that people discuss.